In our previous show, we discussed about the situation of an African woman concerning issues related to economy, education, and technology. We will continue our discussion looking at other issues that are assumed to be of great value to women development, such as getting access to credit, security and legal matters, then leadership and participation to decision making. My name is Thierry Francis Mbabane. Albina Gakuru is our guest today. She is a PhD student in Turku at Åbo Akademi University, Gender Studies Department. She has a master's in international relations and a bachelor's in commerce and business administration. She talked to us with her own experience as an African, or precisely a Kenyan woman who witnesses inequality, poverty, or even violence that other fellow Kenyan women are going through. But she's also, on the other hand, speaking on behalf of the other women who are giving their best to make things right. And she's optimistic to a better future. In our previous show, we discussed alternatives for a woman in Kenya to save her income, use them to get credit, only by using some ICT tools. I'll take an example of a mobile phone based like M-Pesa or M-Shwari, launched in 2007 by Vodafone, the largest mobile network operator in Kenya and in Tanzania. These tools are easy to use and they are also fast. They have allowed women empowerment in business. Today, we want to think in the same direction, taking into consideration a poor woman who lives in a slum, for example. She wants also to generate some income and be able to pay bills by her own. How will this group of women survive issues regarding loans and opportunity to start a business?
They are working as a collective, as a group, and that collective then gives them the strength to go seek for collateral, to go seek for financing, to self-finance each other, to offer each other small loans. And that's why there's a rapid shift between the 90s and now, because they're working as a collective, not as an individual, because they cannot afford even be even welcome to any, to be even welcomed to be asked if they have collateral, because they can't. They're living in houses that are falling apart, But the community-based, because we're talking of an average of 20 to 30 to 40 to, to even 300 women. When you talk of collective, this is what it is. If you look at it economically, 5 shillings in a group of 20 women is what? Now, that 100, they can afford to loan somebody who then, remember they're on a capital of 100, who then loans, gives it back, who then gives it. So that 100 can rotate to each one of them one day in a month. So each of them can expect an added capital boost of 100 on one day a month. So when they're looking for capital of 100, now they can get capital of 200. What does that mean? They then increase their income. So the community-based organization has come together and given women support and helped speed up the process, the progress that you're seeing. And that's why, and as well, the state has been there. They have established acts, the new constitution, especially in Kenya, you have this new constitution, where women have now been given a voice, but they still have to use a community-based organization. I mean, I'm talking of what Gayatri Spivak kind of terms as the subalterns, the ones who are really marginalized right there. I'm not talking about the ones who have an income, who were employed, as you say. If you're employed, then now the state, the banks allow you to take your bank statement, and your employer again can be your guarantor. But this lady who's selling tomatoes or selling tea leaves by the roadside, she has no employer, but the community-based organization can. So it's the 30 women can stand and represent and stand for the collateral of one of their group. And now that they're registered, it's even much more effective, as the state of Kenya has done, that they are now registered as entities. So they are not private limited companies, but they're not partnerships, they're not single businesses, but they're just registered as a group, and the group members are so. So that way, that collective is what is giving them and speeding up this process and giving them the strength.
In Kenya, the law protects women collective. Then what about other cases in Africa which involve women? Are women and men equally well represented in institution? Do women have the same legal rights as men? Do they have same household rights? There are many questions we could ask regarding women's and girls' rights to understand what is going on in handling problems of girls and women. I asked Albina if she feels like the law is in favor of a woman.
Well, interestingly, yes. Well, this is why I actually kind of smiled, is because there's Zambia has a pretty new legislation that women are entitled to 1 month day off every month. Of course, out of all that, there's that debate where still the same group of women, some will say, no, it's eating onto labor, and others are saying, well, this is empowering of women, that that you're entitled to your 1 month when you're not feeling able to come and deal with your body functions in public, you have your time, 1 day aside. But the interesting thing about the Zambian law is a kind of African cultural way of looking at the female body. Because also culturally, where I come from, women who, when you're having your menses, it was your time to just do what you want, don't function. So they had this special hut where women would just go and sit, and be, and let that day go, and then when you're ready to go back to working and go back to your family, you go back when you're ready. But then in a way, there's that argument of now it's like we're taking a few steps back, because we should work all in that day. But why I like the Zambian was it was just like it connected to the African way of embracing the female body, bringing importance, making her back again to feel, yes, she is the mother of the home. She is the pillar of society. And she has her special day where she can just stay home and just relax, let her body do what it needs to do, and then when she's ready and has the strength to get up and go. So in a way, that is it's a special ladies' or women's day. For me, I was very happy when it was in the news, so I kind of was very happy when I saw it, and I was like, yeah. Of course, there was a lot of debate of women saying no, but I was probably a little. I was not so happy that I was saying no, because I was like, come on, you're also going to take it, I know, So, but that's a way of empowering women, in a way of accepting them and accepting their body for what it is and the body functions, giving it credit. Of course, but then that one day, that lady, of course, she's not just going to sit and kick back as she would have done maybe many centuries back. She'll still end up doing household chores. So, but in a way, it's still acknowledging. And then also, when you look at Rwanda, the parliamentarians are 60% women? So you can see there's that the policies are in place, and they're pushing, and we're moving really forward, really fast. And unfortunately, even I kind of feel like I'm almost giving you backdated feedback, because these things happen, pretty fast. It can take months, because policies are now so gender aware, and the women are there to push them, and also the issue of food security now is another issue that people kind of are looking at. Land tenure. Who owns the land? Yet 75% of the produce is produced by women on small-scale farms. But who owns those farms? It's not them. So those are the kind of, you can kind of see, it's up and then, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Do you think there should be justice, especially in those parts of Africa, about how to share the land?
Yes, but already they're in place. Right now, those draconian inheritance laws that just said, I'm not so sure about the rest of East Africa per se, but like in Kenya right now, inheritance, land ownership, women are allowed. So now no longer is it that customary that the land must have been inherited by the men. Now also land, it's equal share, actually, that's what they. So in a way, it's empowered women. But still, as they say, 1% of the land owned is by women. And 6% is owned jointly.
If 93% of land is owned by men in Kenya, probably issues or cases connected to land in judicial courts will take time to handle, as they are treated at the same level with other civil or criminal cases. That is one of the reasons why, for instance, in Tanzania, women politicians suggested during last year's constitution review debate to set up a special family court which they believe could speed up cases related to gender and household issues. The idea was rejected. Rwanda guarantees equal land rights between spouses, but could do more to protect those rights by taking into consideration women in unregistered marriage and their realities. But again, countries like Mauritius recently enacted 2008 Equal Opportunities Act, which prohibits direct discrimination in employment, recruitment, public service and education. While we know that Rwanda and South Africa has the most gender-based parliaments in the world, with Rwanda making 64% and South Africa making one of the most equitable, with women making up close to 50% of representative. But the question is, do women have visible role in decision making in general? Are they part of the engine which create and perform rules?
But they are. In some places and in some cases. Well, what comes to thought is Resolution 1325, where it talks of that women have been given 1/3. There's a policy, the 1/3 policy, in which for every 3 in leadership, 1 must be a woman. There's a policy in place, universal. So
Kind of a quota system?
It's kind of a quota system. Although there's some argument about that it's not. But in a way it is. So therefore, in a way, with this policy in place, then women are also finding themselves in formal employment, formal places of authority, and places of influence as well, because at least then they can also speak on behalf, as they say, on behalf of women, although that can create some issues. So why I used Resolution 1325 is because in the negotiating table, that is what has been placed. So when they're negotiating for peace, it's not just a man affair now. There must be women in it to discuss about peace. So peace is no longer a male or masculine issue anymore. Women's voices must be heard. And that policy is also in place even in community-based organizations, even in parastatals, government organizations, and all this. That is the thing that is running right now.
Can we say that today women, they can be entrepreneurs to the same extent like men?
Actually, the best entrepreneurs are women.
Yeah.
Why?
Explain.
She knows how to manage. She knows how to multitask. All the requirements of a top entrepreneur is what a woman does in her one-day work. She has to negotiate. She has to enforce rules. She has to budget. She has to plan her time. She has to interact with people, whether public or private as well. Because we're talking of a home, a family, a home, and I'm talking of a home in the African context. Let me leave. It's a nuclear plus extended. So a nuclear home, whether single-headed or not, you probably have a child or 2. There is a lot of interaction going. You have to plan when to wake up, what they're going to eat, that is nuclear. Then we have the extended that comes along as well. You have to also deal with that. But on a nuclear basis, just for the day, for the home to run, so that from morning to evening there's no chaos. Management must be. Planning must be. Budgeting must be. Because what are you going to eat? Who is going to buy? So they already even know the best places to source A or B or C within the economy, within their range, the economic range. So, they already know the economics. They know they actually know how to get surplus, where to get the bargains from. That is, of course, benefiting the home. So the best entrepreneur actually is a woman, and that's why you kind of see 70% of the small-scale businesses in Africa is run by women. Culturally also, trade between communities was not done by men. It was women. The men exported the women. The men took the cattle, this big stuff that needs to be chased around. But the women carried the salt, because they used to trade with salt and grains, so it was barter trade. It was all done by women.
In 20 years to come, or 15 years to come, what would you like to see?
Development-wise, how I'd like to see is, I would like to see these women being able to self-sustain themselves, live in a self-sustaining way. In that the factors, the societal factors that are inhibiting them to live that way have been addressed, like infrastructure, living, the standard of living to improve, apart from just living on, because the potential and the ability is there. And yes, even right now as we talk, the slum is also converting, because the state has also come in now and is now building those houses. Although there's an argument saying that some would not be able to afford to live in those houses because of the rates that they will be charged. So, but then in a way, it's like, if they could, with what they have learned and how far they have gone, if those factors, infrastructure, their living, hospitals, having well-functioning hospitals where they don't have to seek private medicals, and now some of them are aging, so now they're also suffering from some of the illness that come with aging. Like now some are diabetic, and diabetes is a very expensive disease in Africa. So if some of those things are subsidized, or the state can come in and help, then of course they would live a lovely life. Now that's what I'm hoping to see in the next 20 years. Some may not make it till then, but I can see the goodwill of the state to get to that point where the standard of living is high, good, where housing, where the human rights, the basic human, good health, good housing, good education are met by the state. I can see the states, and many of the African states are striving to do so. But then we also have to look at the world economy as well, because those countries are not existing on their own. They're existing in this whole world system. So, a good example is like Venezuela. The state could provide, did provide excellent service when it had money. How was it getting money? By selling oil. The moment the oil market got flooded and the prices dropped, look at the crisis Venezuela is in. So in a way, it's like there are other factors that can cloud the goodwill or the good intention. But then, so long as they strive to get there, I guess that's all what we can expect, we can hope for. And they get there sooner. Before. Yes, but yeah, of course We're always hoping for the best of everybody. And then education. But as I said, education, people are going to school and then they know the importance of education now. So let's see what that generation is going to bring. That's our Generation X. And as you can see, the Kenyan state has also introduced tablets. So the primary schools now, the children are learning with tablets. So you can kind of see it's like there's this leap forward, this high generational leap that the little children now are learning how to read and write, but as well as getting tech savvy as early as possible. And this is public, not private. So you can see the fruits. Right now it's the implementation stage of many things in the African societies, actually. Because remember, there's a lot of this upheavals, and, independence came, and then from the 1950s, by the time you become stable and become friends, there's a little conflict here, there's a little conflict there. That stops development, takes it a few steps back, but then you start again moving forward. So once all these upheavals have settled and they look like they're settling down, when this starts taking root, then, as they said, Africa is where to be. That's where the economy is growing. There's every economy. That's where Africa is where the economies are growing. They're not slumped and they're not dropping. They're growing.
Why do we emphasize on Africa, especially talking about issues regarding our humanity? Well, African countries are generating more resources to invest in the development. This is the right time for Africa. Countries are increasingly able to generate resources they need in order to invest in national development and achieve positive results. Of course, a lot needs to be done. Africa needs dramatic change in productivity, especially in agriculture and small businesses, where most of Africans earn their livelihoods. Education and health need to be enhanced. Political systems need to be strong. And African women must be part of this transformation. Thanks for listening. See you next time.